Hello, this is Mr. Moore. This is a Spanish 1 screencast for the very first chapter that we do during the first week of class. Screencasts are basically intended for you to use as another tool to study on your own. Remember, the space bar is your friend, so if you want something stopped or paused for a moment, you can easily quiz yourself simply just using your space bar. I'm basically going to go through this vocabulary sheet. This is something that everyone's going to receive in class anyway, but I'm going to go through the meanings of each one of these phrases and words and do some pronunciation with you as well. You can practice the pronunciation just by pausing, rewinding, listening to my voice as well, and hopefully that's something that you can use as an additional tool on top of what we already do in class. So let's go ahead and begin. You can see up here, Spanish 1, vocabulario, capítulo preliminar, adelante. And the first one says frases útiles. And frases útiles is just Spanish for useful phrases. First phrase, which is just a heading, actually means para escuchar, which means for listening, something you want to be able to hear and understand very well. So let's go ahead and begin. The first one, abran el libro, means open your books. Abran el libro. Levántense, por favor, means stand up, please. Levántense, por favor. Siéntense, por favor, means sit down, please. Siéntense, por favor. Levanten la mano means raise your hands. Levanten la mano. Bajen la mano. Lower your hands or put your hands down. Bajen la mano. Escuchen con atención. Listen closely. The literal translation is listen with attention, but colloquially used is listen closely or listen carefully. Escuchen con atención. Repitan después de mí. Repeat after me. Saquen una hoja de papel. Take out a sheet of paper. Saquen una hoja de papel. Silencio, por favor. Quiet, please. Silencio, por favor. Miren la pizarra. Look at the board. The literal translation for pizarra is chalkboard, but in recent years that has come to mean just the board or whatever is used. It can be a Promethean board, a whiteboard, however it gets used in the classroom. Miren la pizarra. Something you might be noticing from the very beginning here is that some of these words kind of look familiar, like they might look similar in English and in Spanish, or you might recognize them. Those are called cognates. When a word is either related to or it is something that is easily recognizable in both languages, sometimes that's referred to as a cognate. Obviously, words like me, meaning me or myself, repitan, meaning repeat, it has that R-E-P-I-T in it. You're going to notice those cognates more and more throughout the course of your language learning. Let's move on to the next section. Para decir means useful phrases for saying. So para decir literally means to say or to tell. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. Buenos días. Good morning. Buenos días. Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. ¿Cómo se dice en español? How do you say something in Spanish? Now, the word something isn't actually in here. That's delineated by these three little dots right here. ¿Cómo se dice book en español? How do you say book en español? ¿Cómo se dice table en español? How do you say Spanish? Or, I'm sorry, how do you say table in Spanish? And so on. ¿Cómo se escribe? How do you spell something? ¿Cómo se escribe? Más despacio, por favor. Slower, please. ¿Puedo ir por mi libro? Can I go get my book? ¿Puedo ir por mi libro? ¿Puedo ir al baño? Can I go to the bathroom? ¿Puedo ir al baño? No entiendo. I don't understand. No entiendo. No sé. I don't know. No sé. Notice that both of these are very similar, very slight differences, but similar ideas. ¿Puede repetir, por favor? Can you repeat that, please? ¿Puede repetir, por favor? Perdón. Pardon, or excuse me. Perdón. Tengo una pregunta. I have a question. Tengo una pregunta. Again, for this section, in para decir, you probably noticed a few words that might look similar in both languages. Obviously, perdón kind of looks like pardon. No obviously means no. Más meaning more. So you'll notice that more and more as we progress. You see a word like tardes, meaning afternoon. Well, tarde means late, as in later in the day. And tarde also means late in English. So these are cognates. You'll become more familiar with these as we progress. Colores, or colors. Next section. Rojo, red, rojo. Rosado, pink, rosado. Morado, purple, morado. Gris, gray, gris. Negro, black, negro. Azul, blue, azul. Amarillo, yellow, amarillo. Anaranjado, orange, anaranjado. Sometimes the word like for the fruit orange is just naranja, and that can be used interchangeably. But for our purposes this week, anaranjado. Blanco, white, blanco. Verde, green, verde. Marrón is brown, marrón. There's a few other words for that too. Sometimes marrón is just, it looks like the word maroon, so obviously it can be used for that word as well. Sometimes café or de color café sometimes expresses the idea of brown as well. So let's move on to numbers. And the numbers are fairly easy in this section because they're all in order, beginning with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And that goes all the way to the number 30 or 30. So let's go ahead and just look at these quickly and note that each one of these in order means the number that it refers to. So 0 is 0, 1 is 1, 2 is 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, and so on. Let's move on. 6 is 6, 7, 7, 8 is 8, 9, 9, 10, 10, 11, 11, 12, 12, 13, 13, 14, 14, 15, 15, 16, 16, 17, 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20, 20, 21, 21, 22, 22, 23, 23, 24, 24, 25, 25, 26, 26, 27, 27, 28, 28, 29, 29, and 30 is 30. I'll go through these one more time. I won't give you the English translations as we progress. I'll just simply pronounce them for you. And again, use the space bar to pause if you want to do a repeat after me style exercise. We do those a lot in class, but it's obviously much more helpful for you to slow things down and do them on your own at home. So here we go. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19. I'm sorry, after 17 is 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. A couple quick notes about what you're seeing both for pronunciation and also grammar. You'll note that in these 20s, they all start with the same, I guess you could call it a numerical prefix. The word 20. 20, of course, means 20, and then they all start with 20 after that point. You'll notice that in base 10 language, that happens a lot. So that you'll notice that once we get to the 30s, 40s, 50s, they'll all start with the same thing, then move on to something else from there. there'll be more of a process when we get into that. Notice that the letter V is pronounced not quite as a V and not quite as a B. So instead of saying 20 with a V or 20 with a B, it's somewhere in between. 20, 21, 22, 23, and so on. There are other small things that you're probably catching up on or catching on to early on, including whenever there's an R right after another consonant, so 13 and so on. Just wanted to make a note of that. I hope you enjoyed your first screencast. Have a great day, study lots, and hasta luego.